Negus.
Negus. What is the language of origin?
Ethiopian to Amharic.
What is the definition?
A king. It's used as a title of the sovereign of Ethiopia. Negus.
Negus. Could you use it in a sentence?
The Negus ruled Ethiopia until the coup of 1974.
Negus. Negus.
Andrew, would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Negus.
One more time.
Negus.
Negus.
Negus. Negus. Negus.
My nigga.
May I have your attention for a very important public service announcement. We are taking over the internet, and the United States champion of word wrestling entertainment has returned for another edition of the Pocket Locker podcast. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, good people, I am in airplane mode. And gang, you need to grab something to drink, grab something to smoke, greet your neighbor, kick back and catch a vibe as we jump into the musical portion of the program. Because today we got that brand new OG ready to go. The new that just dropped, that hot off the oven. Woo! Gotta blow on it. Let's go.
You are now rocking with airplane mode.
Zach, back with another one last time. Made them slide and shit. This time I'm here just reminding them. Whoa. Still ain't no competition, but listen, you can't pay me in your promises. No. Figured out popping bottles, chasing bitches, really wasting my time and shit. Yeah. And I ain't got time for love, cause I know you falling in out of it. Yeah. Fuckers, you doubting, man. I'm just a kid straight from Potters. I came to your city with bombing. I got it popping. Dimes and them dubs, I had options. You want it, I keep it, you got it. You need to stop. Talk like you bossing and talk like you flossing and really be mad. Faking and fraud is just for the gram. Jersey to Boston, they know about the Zag. Listed my name when I picked up a bag. Airplane mode, my daughter, my tag. And I do all of this shit for my fam. Jackie promoters be forcing my hand. Damn, it's love till you get big as them. I'm getting money with friends, they wasn't there to begin. Now here they coming to end. Talking about 15%, I switched up again. Ain't no comparison, I heard this shit is embarrassing. Who is you down in my nigga? These raps went to Cali, you still in the county with it. We go out of town, yeah, we still official. Been holding it down, we still on a mission.
It's official.
It's in a mission, and that new tape gon' drop in the winter, nigga. Know we ready to go.
New OG
ready. Ain't no comparison, I heard this shit is embarrassing. You down in my nigga, these raps went to Cali, you still in the county with it.
My nigga picks the dirtiest sounds. This shit gritty. Oh, this back to the roots. Oh yeah, we got dirt on the track, yo. Hella dirt on the track. I'm with it. I'm with it. Y'all know cuz is always with it. New OG Roddy, yo. It's just a taste. I know we want more. What's this? What's this single number one? What's this? We got an EP coming up. We got an LP. We're gonna have to ask some questions. We're gonna have to ask some questions so we can get some answers. What's going on? Tell us the extent of the new catalog. We're gonna have to set up an interview. We're gonna have to set up an interview. We're gonna set up an interview so we can figure out what's going on. Y'all know I want more. I want a whole new album. What is with this new? Y'all know me. I'm old fashioned. If the single is hot, I want the whole album right now. Nowadays, it's like, nah, we put out that song. Okay, yeah. Where's the rest of it? We just put out a hot song. Yeah. But where the rest of it at? Oh man, times have changed. Look, y'all. Fun's over. That's it. That's all I got. Wayne in the crowd. Wayne, tell him, look, sometimes your HBK in its prime, and you could go 60 minutes plus, and it's just gonna be straight fire. Everybody's just gonna be wanting more. You're gonna be leaving them on the edges of the seat the whole time. It's just gonna be magic. You're just gonna like descend from the fucking Raptors with the best outfit ever, and it's just gonna be start to stop, just fucking magic. Nah, that's not today's show. Today's show is an Undertaker special. Okay. We hit you with high energy at the top of the show. We brought you some new OG Roddy. And you're gonna have to remember that this is a special episode because we kicked it off with some new OG Roddy and the energy level was high. Okay. Because it's over. Okay. It's like when the Undertaker like Undertaker used to tell him, look. Sometimes you look at your opponent, you know who you're working with on the other side of the ring, and you're thinking, God damn, this is going to be a stinker. Yeah, it's not going to be very good. It's not going to be very good. So you got to make sure the people get their money's worth in the entrance. That way they get their money's worth in the entrance. They have the Undertaker experience, and they go home happy, and hopefully they forget everything that happened after the entrance. This is one of those shows. So remember that we started it off with the new OG Roddy. The shit was dirty. I gave you some real East Coast dirty street shit. Some real shit. I told you. All the way from the East Coast. You can hear by the sound. Nah, they don't make that shit in the West Coast. The Midwest don't know about that. The South, what are you talking about? Have you ever listened to the music that comes up? No. That was some East Coast shit. Remember that. Because, gang, the rest of this show is going to be terrible. It's just going to be terrible. But we got to do it. Why? Because we got to address the elephant in the room, okay? I am on high alert about everything with regard to the Middle East, okay? First off, let's keep it real. I don't know shit about what's going on in the Middle East. That all of that shit is way above my pay grade. Don't expect me to have some type of educated type of historical geopolitical analysis of the situation. Nah. I'm gonna tell you my analysis of the situation. It goes a little something like this. There's that cliche that you should live in interesting times, my friend. It's like saying, hey man, I hope there's some shit that's popping in your days. I hope your days are something to remember. I like to say that the reality of the situation is there are certain things that happen in the world and you wish to live in less interesting times. Okay? AKA there's some shit you just do not want to live through. Okay? Pandemics, y'all already know. That's right up there at the top of the list. Okay? Why? That's just nope, pass. Was it interesting? Pass. Not the correct word, right? I could live without that. Okay, there's very few things that's really up there on that list. Okay, the other giant thing on that list, gang, is fucking war. Okay, nah. When you talk about war, nah. Game over. That's literally, like I said, that's yeah, I wish these times were a little bit less interesting. That's my analysis of that situation. War fucking blows. Okay? But the topic of this conversation is there's a big, huge thing going on in this country with the unconditional pro-Israel support from Christians. Okay? And our focus today is going to be the fucked up ass reason why a lot of these fundies and evangelical buy into the whole pro-Israel thing. And the person who's going to educate us about this is none other than Alan fucking Parr. I should have put his name in the title. That would help people understand. That would serve as sort of like a trigger warning. Like, oh my God, Alan Parr. You know, you could choose if you just dipped out right there. You know, I probably just lost subscribers. People probably just they're like, fuck this channel. I'm never watching this channel again. He said Alan Parr. As soon as he said Alan Parr, I hit the unsubscribe button. I can't blame you. It's a good life choice. I earned that. But yeah, if you want to dip out and come back when we're not talking about the worst person on the face of the planet, yeah, I totally understand. But for those of y'all that are ride or die, really want to get into the thick of the fucked upness that is the evangelical perspective, y'all know there's no one more emblematic of the problems with Christianity than Alan fucking Parr. So with that in mind, let's get into this. I gotta keep it real, gang. It's gonna be fucked up. We're trying to keep things a little bit more fun, interesting. We try to have a good time around here. Nope, not today. We're gonna be straight into the heart of the Christo-fascism on this one. Whew. All right, gang. I need another hit of this marijuana before I even roll this tape. Oh my goodness. Definitely gonna have to hit this alcohol. All right, let the stupidity begin.
In this video, I'm going to share with you everything that you need to know about Israel, its history, and how God is going to use Israel in his end time prophetic plan, and whether the recent events that are going on in Israel right now are a sign of the end times. Guys, this is going to be an epic video for the ages.
Okay. Pause the tape. This is already fucked up. Just off the top, the energy is wrong. Like my energy is wrong right now. Okay. I know when the energy is wrong because I do a lot of the energy is wrong. Like right now, I'm hyped, I'm upbeat, I'm into it. Like we going in, right? Like it's high energy, like, yeah, let's get it. But we're talking about Alan Parr. Like literally, like a pile of dog shit has more character and moral integrity than Alan Parr. Right? So it doesn't really match, but we have to do that sometimes to get through things. Okay? This fool is geeked. He's geeked. We know what geeked looks like. He's excited than a motherfucker. And we're talking about, again, a war. Like, very fucked up shit is going down right now. And on top of that, he's not just geeked that, ooh, okay, let's talk about this war. He's excited about how it fits into the end times. And I don't know if y'all speak Christianese, But as somebody who was born in that culture, let me translate. Yeah, the end times is when God comes back and fucks us all the way up. When he's just like, yeah, I'm done with this earth experiment. I'm finna just rain down my God power of terrifyingness and just well, he gonna tell us what's gonna happen. But it's pretty ugly. So, in the words of noted historian and philosopher Robert Reed, Christian, y'all are torture pimps, tragedy pimps. This y'all are tragedy pimps. This is tragedy pimping right here that we're watching.
You're going to want to watch all the way through.
No,
I cannot
we're
wait.
definitely not.
Let's dig
Oh
in.
my goodness.
Okay, so there's been
Why
quite
do I
a bit
do
of
this to
attention
myself?
directed toward Israel as of late, as it should be, because the Bible is very, very clear that Israel is the focal point of God's prophetic plan.
Pause
so
the tape.
in this video,
Pause the tape. 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 Holy shit! I don't know how this is gonna work. The motherfucker just said there's been a lot of attention paid to Israel lately, as there should be. And instead of talking about, the war that's going on, the obvious thing, it's like, oh, because the Bible tells us, and I want y'all to see that this is the theme. This is the question for our community. When have we seen enough from this movement? When are we done playing these games with Christianity? Because literally, how can we sit down at the table and be like, yeah, that like perpetual thing that's at the forefront of the geopolitical stage, vis-a-vis conflict in the Middle East? Yeah, it's just boiled all the way the fuck over, and yeah, we're gonna have to do something. Yeah, this is not sustainable. And these people and they literally reach for the magic book. They reach for the magic book and are telling us that don't worry. I said every little thing is gonna be all right. And they're like, yo, did Bob tell you? No. It says it here in the book. But I don't think we can all make decisions together. I don't understand how that's supposed to work.
I'm going to give you 7 things that you need to know about Israel as it relates to the role that Israel is going to play in the end times. Now, give me a little bit of time, promise, but you'll stick with me because I got to build up. And so the first thing that we need to look at as it relates to Israel is going to be its history. And we're going to look at what's called the scattering of Israel, a little bit of a history lesson here. So God, through the leadership of kings in the Old Testament, had created the nation of Israel to be a united, fortified nation under one king. But because of all of the disobedience, because of the immorality, because of the idolatry, because of the oppression of the poor and all sorts of other things, God warned them ahead of time that if you get involved in these things, you can expect for me to scatter you across the face of the earth. Look all the way back in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, where God, through the prophet Moses, promised and warned the people not to disobey him. It says here, in the future, when you have children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, do not corrupt yourselves by making idols of any kind. This is evil in the sight of the Lord your God and will arouse his anger. Today, I call on heaven and earth as witnesses against you. If you break my covenant, you will quickly disappear from the land you are crossing the Jordan to occupy. You will live there only a short time. then you will be utterly destroyed. Now here it is. Pay attention to this word. For the Lord will scatter you among the nations where only a few of you will survive.
Yeah, Alan Barr, it's about to be Thanksgiving time. I've got bad news for you. You're gonna have to sit at the kids' table. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to sit at the kids' table. Again. When are we gonna stop playing around with the cult of Magic Sky Daddy says war is a sign of his wrath? Like this is a problem. This is a problem. And this is the perspective. This is why they're like, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. We can't go along with this live action role playing.
Well, unfortunately, the people did disobey God, and God had to make good on this promise, and he ended up scattering the nation of Israel across the face of the earth, and this is what is called the diaspora. Now, without going into all of the history, I'm going to just give you some of the highlights. In 722 BC or so, we have the Assyrian exile, or the Assyrian invasion, where God allowed an evil, wicked nation called Assyria to come into the northern portion of the land of Israel and scatter the people so that they were to be resettled in other portions of the world, specifically in Assyria. And then in 586 BC, we have what's called the Babylonian exile. And this is when God allowed the wicked nation of Babylonia to come into the southern portion of Israel, specifically Jerusalem or Judah, and he allowed them to take them captive or to kidnap them and take them all the way back to Babylon, thus
Gang, please take all of this with a grain of salt. Is not even the right expression. Just don't believe anything he says without independently verifying it with reputable sources. Like, because as far as I'm concerned, this is just Bible. He's just spewing Bible stories, which again, like, has nothing to do with what we're doing right now. And it just shows you, like, why, like, man, like, yo, they're about this life. Like, they're for real. Like, they really think that because everything that happens has to fit into their little fairy tale story. Oh, this is very frustrating. I gotta
scattering them even further. And then there was further scattering in the Persian period and during the Hellenistic period. And then if you fast forward to 70 AD, you have the destruction of the Jewish temple, which led to more Jews being killed, some of them being sold into slavery. Others were fleeing to other portions of the world so they could run for their lives, thus resulting in more scattering, more spreading, and greater diaspora. And then, of course, if you fast forward to the 20th century, you have the Holocaust, where there were 6 million Jews who had lost their lives to the Nazis, thus destroying the Jewish nation and resulting in more scattering as well. Now, this leads us to the second.
This is like Tucker Carlson, gang. This is entertainment. This is not news. Do your due diligence. There we go. 7 stages in God's plan for Israel. And if stage 1 was the scattering of Israel, we will call this the physical restoration of Israel. In other words, there are scriptures sprinkled throughout the Old Testament where God promises that he is going to restore Israel to the land. Let's read about several of them. Ezekiel 11:17 says, I, the sovereign Lord, will gather you back from the nations where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel once again. Ezekiel 36:24, for I will gather you up from all the nations and bring you home again to your land. Here's another beautiful one in Amos chapter 9, verses 14 and 15. I will bring my exiled people of Israel
back from distant lands, and they will rebuild their ruined cities and live in them again. They will plant vineyards and gardens. They will eat their crops and drink their wine. I will firmly plant them there in their own land. They will never again be uprooted from the land I have given them, says the Lord your God. Let me pay attention and zoom in on that last phrase. They will never.
Yeah, I mean, this is utterly terrifying, and like to have it on full display. I'm actually kind of grateful in the sense because I really feel like this is unspoken in the common discourse we have right now, but it's really terrifying that our country's leadership is so predominantly Christian, and like that they have this understanding and interpretation of this book. Like, it's, oh my goodness. It also is just, again, like the blinders. Like I was thinking about some of the images I've seen from the region since this conflict, and if I had to put it in words, right, it's literally just like blood everywhere. Like it looks like a special effect from a movie, but it's not. Tell me how this is part of your God's plan again. Like what? Like come again, right? Like it's scary to me that there's no real reverence for the reality of war and what is happening to people. The phrase I thought of in getting ready for this was that we cannot make life or death decisions with people who do not understand the value of life or death. Like, period, end of story.
Again be uprooted from the land I have given them, which lets us know that this is something that has not yet happened yet. Now, in light of all of the different scatterings that the nation of Israel had experienced, including the devastation of the Holocaust, it would seem insurmountable and almost impossible for God to regather his people and make them a nation again. But this is exactly what we see happening on May 14th, 1948, when the Jewish people were established as a nation again. And my friend, this is a very, very important date in all of human history as it relates to Bible prophecy, because before this date, many of the Bible scholars...
Pause the tape. Nah, get the fuck out of here. I did. I'm just saying, like, I'm having a very hard time taking people who think like this seriously. And I find it repulsive that we have people in power who think like this. That's the only reason I'm dealing with this. Cause I'm like, people are not talking about this, but I'm hip to this. Like, evangelicals are into this, and they like have been. Like they're like they have Israeli flags in, probably your state house, in their office, just as big right next to the American flag. Like, what? Like, why do you have the flag of a foreign government in the state house? It's a bit It's a bit weird. But they buy into this, and it makes you realize that, like, to them, like, we're literally playing this game. Like, they don't realize that they're LARPing, so everybody else gets caught up in it just the same. It's like, I don't know. I just really think it's time. Like, it's time. Like, that's my thing. It's like, it's just time. It's time to stop playing these games with religious people. It really is. It's not a reasonable way for an adult human being to go about being an adult human being.
Asking the question, how is he going to be able to fulfill these promises to restore Israel as a nation back to their land if they are not a nation at all? And so the fact that on May 14th, 1948, that sets this in motion, that now Israel is a fortified nation. Now it's setting the stage for God to fulfill the promises that he's going to physically restore Israel. And this brings us to stage number 3, where part of God's prophetic plan for the nation of Israel is that there was going to be wars and persecution from the surrounding neighboring nations. And that brings us up to the modern day, because there's so much conflict that the nation of Israel has experienced, but God had already prophesied it beforehand. Notice Zechariah chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. It says, I will make Jerusalem like an intoxicating drink that makes the nearby nations stagger when they send their armies to besiege Jerusalem and Judah. But watch this promise from God. On that day, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock. All the nations will gather against it to try to move it, but they will only hurt themselves. Do you see what God is saying? God is prophesying that, yes, Israel is going to experience persecution. They're going to experience wars. They're going to experience these other nations.
Does he think these are special effects from a movie? Dude, it's 2023. We need to talk about something. Your God sucks. Your God sucks. Your God sucks. What kind of plan is this? For what? For what? And again, what does that do? What does that do? Is your conclusion that this is part of God's plan? Like, because I'm kind of gonna ask a question, like, the Josh Bowen, like, and therefore what? Because it sounds like that's supposed to excuse, like, is it supposed to be okay now? Is it supposed to make it better? Like, y'all need to stop
trying to destroy them. But because they are protected by God, because they are ultimately God's chosen people, God is saying that even though they may try to do this, I'm going to make Israel so strong like an immovable rock that they're only going to end up hurting themselves. Now, while we're
did y'all read that note? It's a note. This prophecy has its ultimate fulfillment at the Battle of Armageddon, to be discussed later in this video. Like, I get it. This is crazy. This is just a crazy habit that we have of y'all don't understand, man. We a lot of us used to be part of this cult, okay? And so we're fascinated by these people because we know people like this. And we used to be people like this to some extent. But this is insane. Like, this is literally like, I just can't imagine thinking this way about the realities of war as a grown man. And again, it feels so insensitive. I don't get how this is supposed to be the righteous way to see these things or the righteous perspective. To me, this perspective demonstrates a complete disregard for the value of human life. And you'll never guess what. To me, that's the deal. That's what Christianity ultimately is. Again, we cannot make life or death decisions with people who don't understand the reality of life or death. If you think life is really just the appetizer, is really just the thing that gets your beak wet, it's not the ultimate song and dance. It's just hey, we're just, it's just a little trial, a little test period. Okay, we're definitely not on the same page about that. We're gonna have a hard time making decisions together. If you don't understand that death means the curtain show's over, rest in peace, that's the end, forever and ever, see you later. Yeah. No, you guys think the opposite. Oh, that's just the beginning. Here comes the real life. I mean, like, it's not gonna work.
Like an immovable rock that they're only going to end up hurting themselves. Now, while we're here, it's important for us not to interpret every single conflict that we see going on in Israel as a surefire sign that the end is near, because Jesus told us and warned us against doing this. Look at Matthew chapter 24. It says this: Jesus told them, "Don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many, and you will hear of wars, plural, and threats of wars, plural. But don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately." Do you see what Jesus is saying? Is that there is going to be wars, and you're going to hear about these wars, plural, many of them, and threats of wars. But don't panic as if to say, oh, the end is near, Jesus is coming back, because it says right here, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. And so the reason why we don't want to overreact to the conflict that's going on there right now is because since their inception as a nation in 1948, there's been all kinds of
does he want a cookie? Like Christians, do you hear the gross insensitivity? We shouldn't overreact, dude. You just showed buildings blowing up. People are dying. What is worth more overreaction than war? I don't think there is such a thing as overreacting as a response to war. That doesn't even make any sense. But the goal of this is like Christians are supposed to kick back, be like, hey, baby, it's all in God's hands. It's all in God's plans. Rest easy now. You're in the master's hands. But let's remember, this man has over 1 million subscribers.
Wars that the Israelites have been involved in. Right after they got established as a nation, you had the first Arab and Israeli war where they were fighting for the land and fighting for their independence and things of that nature. And that was in 1948 and 1949. Then in 1967, you had the famous Six-Day War. And then in 1970, you had the War of Attrition, followed by the War of Yom Kippur in 1973, where they were literally attacked on the day of Yom Kippur, one of their Jewish holidays, followed by the Lebanon Wars, and then all the way up to 2021, the Israeli-Gaza conflict, and now ultimately in 2023, we see they're at war.
And this is what's crazy about this is like this is supposed to. I'm kind of feeling like the structure of this video, and it's like he wants his viewers to like feel like he's giving you this like, you know, fast forward version of Israeli history, and then run it parallel to everything fitting into the prophetic words in the Bible. And I just like okay, like that's where a lot of these viewers and people that take this stuff in, like, get sort of their overinflated sense of how, you know, the Bible accords with history. You know, dudes like them really make them think that they can use the Bible as a history textbook. And if they just so happen to check out some history in the real world, it'll always check out. I mean, you could like do that if you want to. You don't really need to. I mean, do you really want to test the prophetic word of God? But I mean, if you want to, I mean, what do you expect to find? I mean, obviously everything's going to accord with the Bible. Obviously, it's all in God's hands. It's all in God's plans, baby.
Again, so there are going to be wars, but once again, this is part of God's prophetic plan for Israel. And this leads us to the fourth stage of God's plan for Israel, which will occur during the 7 years of tribulation, which is involving the Antichrist.
See, and then we go whoop straight into the 7 years of tribulation. Again, bro, like, I'm just pointing it out because this is the problem right now. You know, he sounds crazy, but I think that this is where a lot of the Christians are at. And a lot of the Christians who are in power. There's a lot of people in high places who are going to be making very, very consequential decisions. And when they go to sit around that long ass boardroom table where we all imagine, you know, super powerful decisions are made, and they've got their little cross pendant on and all of this nonsense. What's up? Like, where's their head at on these things? And it's very alarming that we don't talk about this, because again, it's like people are so God-fearing, even non-believers, even the so-called public, you know, should be secular news and media and all of that stuff. And like, I just think that a lot of the mainstream Christian mentality, especially in America, is really on this conservative tip. And people don't want to talk about it. They like to pretend that there's a extreme minority radical position, but nope. Most of the large mainstream, you know, even just the charismatic movement, the gospel of prosperity, like the sort of corporate churches, all that like feel good Jesus-y stuff. Like, most of those organizations are super conservative, and the people know it. They know it. They're just not serious about you know, the harm that the church is causing, because ultimately they're just not willing to challenge their identity like that. And I think that's actually something we don't talk about a lot on this channel. We should talk about a little bit more, but I really think that the whole relationship by relationship, I mean like the whole like relationship with Jesus, like Christian, like cultural identity thing. I think that's like the most powerful hook ever. It's like brilliant. It's like that's the problem. That the problem is not that people don't it's not that people don't like understand like when we challenge these ideas. It's that they're just not willing to go there.
Christ
I'm gonna stop
and
rambling.
their ability to offer sacrifices at a temple that is not yet built. And so the first thing that's going to happen during this tribulation period as it relates to Israel is that there is going to be a charismatic figure who's
with the
going to be referred to as the
tribulation
Antichrist,
period.
and he is going to make a peace treaty or a covenant with the nation of Israel, assumingly to try to win their allegiance, to try to get them to believe that he is for them. But notice what's going to happen. In Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, it prophesies this, and it says this: the ruler will make a treaty with the people for a period of 1 set of 7. So this ruler, if he says, hey, you know what, I'm going to establish some laws where I'm going to guarantee that Israel is at peace for the next 7 years. Of course, Israelites were like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to follow you, right? But let's see what he says next. But after half this time, he will put an end to the sacrifices and offerings. So sacrifices and offerings, what does that suggest? It suggests that there has to be another temple that is going to be built, and the Antichrist.
And there it is, gang. He even got the temple up in here. Hey, man. Hey, we gonna need that land. Yeah, we can't have all. Yeah, nah. Yeah, that's gotta go. That's gotta go.
Is going to allow the Jewish people to rebuild the temple so they can resume their offerings.
Or by that time, the temple will have already been built before he arrives on the scene. Way to walk that back. I mean, oh my goodness.
And their sacrifices, and this is all going to be music to the ears of those in Israel. That is until 3.5 years in, where the Antichrist is going to turn, and now he's going to actually focus on persecuting the nation of Israel. Let's continue. And as a climax to all his terrible deeds, he will set up a sacrilegious object that causes desecration, until the fate decreed for this defiler is finally poured out on him. So halfway through the tribulation period, first 3.5 years we'll call the tribulation. The last 3.5 years we'll call the Great Tribulation. This is when the bowls are going to be poured out. It's going to be really crazy here on earth. But these final 3.5 years, in the midpoint of that, this Antichrist figure is going to do something so sacrilegious, so crazy, that he's going to set up some sort of sacrilegious object in the very temple of God. And we call this the abomination of desolation. Elsewhere in Daniel, he talks about
are y'all noticing how none of this has anything to do with reality? How this solves nothing? I just pick up the holy book, and it all fits into the prophetic word of God, and then he's going to bring the abomination of the desolation before the desecration of the incarnation. Yeah, but then they're going to be under the rule of the Antichrist, because he's going to be great at first, but then he's going to flip shit, and it's going to be like what? Like, but again, gang, like it sounds crazy, but can I just give you 2 words real quick? You know what I'm saying? Can I hit you with a little DX? I've got 2 words for you. Mike Johnson. Is this not what the Speaker of the House would sound like right now talking about this shit? And I'm telling you, like, we just gotta stop playing games with this cult. I know it feels easy. It's getting easier and easier to say as somebody who doesn't believe this anymore. But really, I would really like us to try to just, let's just come on, stop playing around.
About this in chapter 7, verse 25. He will defy the Most High and oppress the holy people of the Most High. He will try to change their sacred festivals and laws. Do you remember I said that? He's going to try to change up some stuff. See, first he's going to say, oh, you can resume your sacrifices and your offerings at the temple. But now he's going to change up their sacrifices and laws, and they will be placed under his control for a time, that's 1 year, times, that's 2 years. 1 + 2 is 3.5 a time. What does that add up to? 3.5 years, which lets you know that the last 3.5 years of this tribulation period, now the nation of Israel is going to be under the control of the Antichrist. But let's keep going. The 5th stage of God's prophetic plan for Israel and how Israel is going to play.
Has anybody told him people are dying? That there's a war going on? That there's fighting on the ground? That there's blood in the streets? Why are we playing this game with these people? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I think we have way too much respect for religion across the board. Across the board. I don't know the answer. You may not know the answer. But I'm really scared to think how much of this conflict is preventable by society making an effort, an international effort to really just put this to bed. I don't see how in any way, shape, or form this type of thinking helps anybody. And I know there's a lot of people that they just have that warm, fuzzy in their heart feel. They're just a warm, fuzzy Jesus lover or whatever. But it just feels like we're in a time where it's time to take the bigger picture more seriously. You're gonna have to find something else to feel warm and fuzzy about. Something deserving of the warm and fuzzies. This is nothing to feel warm and fuzzy about. And I know a lot of Christians don't like to talk about these things, but this is why it matters. Because again, a lot of people are unconditionally pro-Israel. And they're a lot of times, in, like I said, in positions of power, but if not, they're this base of people that are buying into this, that are putting pressure and creating the political ecosystem that's supporting the people who are in positions of power that think this way. And so it's like that matters. And again, I'm not trying to like I said, I'm not an expert in this area. And my issue is not necessarily the political position so much as it's the concern about feeling like we don't take seriously the degree to which this type of magical cult thinking actually influences the world around us. And right now is a time where I feel like this issue is front and center, and it feels like apologists are using this as an opportunity to like build this up and reinforce this in people. So like this is exasperating the problem.
A pivotal, critical role in how Israel is the focal point of all Bible prophecy is what I'll call the persecution of Israel during the 7 years of tribulation. So we've looked before about
pause the tape and the tape. I'm done. I can't. What? This is just nonsense. This is just a bunch of nonsense. I just can't. I can't. We get the point. It's all part of God's plan, and his Israel is the heartbeat of Jesus's fucking vision for God's kingdom. I feel gross. I got to be honest with you, gang. Like the goal was to talk about the elephant in the room, to stare this thing in the face. Like, why are y'all like this? Why are you? What is this about for you? But when you really start to hear, and I'll just go ahead and be charitable and get in the bed of doubt. So I just say you hear the biblical rationale and the justification for this stuff. It's just horrifying. It's just you just like, y'all, what? I don't know, man. I guess the thing that I'm thinking is it's easy. I guess it's easy to say we pick on the ugly Christians, right? So, but I think this is the ugliness at the heart of this. And again, it's not really something that's just starting now, obviously, because of the current war. It's been like this. But it's this weird way in which we have all these Christians in America who are pro-Israel because this is all part of God's plan to bring about the end of the world. Like, yeah. So that upsets me. Yeah, obviously. It's like it's just another fucking example of the cost of doing business with Christians. And again, like noted historian and philosopher Uncle Bobby said, like, this is tragedy pimping. Straight up. Cheering on the destruction of people in their lives. Are any of you like convinced? Like, is anybody like, oh yeah, sign me up? I guess we all better start being obedient to God's plan. Like, is that what we're supposed to take away from this? Better jump on the Christianity gravy train before it's too late. Just think this is terrible. But yeah, y'all, this has been on my mind. It really has been. It really has been. Largely because of the rhetoric we hear from the sort of Christo-fascist that we have in our government. I think with the elevation of Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, I think it's putting Christian nationalism on Front Street. I think that's great. But we also need to be talking about the influence that Christo-fascism has on our global politics. And again, just like so many other opportunities where something real happens, and to me, it would just seem a really reasonable spark to a sort of global disengagement with religion. How about that? I think there's a way in which most people, in our society, sort of in the West, people that have a reasonable education, things like that, they know enough about how the world works to know the world doesn't work that way. I think they're not being honest with themselves. Even more so, I think those of us that have kind of worked through it, but don't try to enlighten others, I don't think we're being honest with them. And maybe I'm just kind of, just was it wishful thinking or whatever. It's not real. Maybe I'm just not. It's where I lack understanding of still learning about human nature, so to speak. But to me, right, like I think about like early in um the 2020 COVID-19 situation, to where we were like literally reading in the news about how this thing spreads and how it was spread in like, big groups. And we were literally reading stories about how people were passing away in certain situations, and we could like nail it down. And we still let like our loved ones put themselves in that situation, right? Like you would think it would be time to say like, no, look, I know this is like important to you or whatever, but look, I'm not gonna let you like, I'm not gonna let you put yourself in at that kind of risk for this, So when I saw that whole thing spiral out of control, especially with the religious conservative types in our country, it was really kind of like hit me like, oh man, like, we don't we don't have that. We don't have that. That switch to flip to become the adults in the room. We don't. Our inner angels don't get the better of our demons quite as much as they need to. And that was it's really hard, still hard for me to accept that. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with this whole thing. I think it's always been this way, right? Like there's always been conflict amongst people and different people groups, territory, religion, cultures, it's not new in that sense, but I think as you grow and you at least hopefully try to appreciate life and really take it seriously, and you realize that like it's not a fire drill, like it's not an exercise. It's like this is real stuff. And you realize, man, that's still not enough for us to say, okay, we've had enough of this. We've seen enough conflict over this. So I don't know. I could tell you right now, it feels incredibly insensitive, like to the point that I think if I was having a conversation with somebody in my life and they started to talk to me about how this type of conflict is part of God's plan, I'd have to end the conversation. It feels just as much as like when somebody, starts getting way too racist, or they say something homophobic, or they say something stupid about trans people or whatever, and you're just like, nah, nope, like that, like kind of like Matt Dillahunty was like, nope, I'm out, nope. But yeah, we that's what we do around here. We try to, I'm like, these are issues that are important to me because I'm still trying to work my way through how to live in this world as somebody who doesn't believe these things, surrounded by people who apparently do. So I really appreciate having friends in the audience and people to share what I'm thinking about with. But the words that come to mind are, I really wanted to stare the ugliness straight in the face with this one, but it's very hard to look at because it's just so damn ugly. It gives new meaning to the word. It's repulsive. It's hard to look at. It's literally like hard to comprehend that war happens in the real world and people pop to the holy books and talk about how it fits into the plan. It just that just pretty monstrous. Yeah. Not as people are dying in the streets. Nope. Don't. I don't think I want to have that conversation. Definitely don't think I want to have that conversation. It's just absolutely crazy. All right, y'all. Look, man, free Gaza, man, ceasefire now, you know what I mean? Like, really, we man, ceasefire yesterday, man. Like, we gotta we gotta evolve, right? We have to change over time. We have to figure out a new way to settle international conflict. It doesn't make sense to continue to do things in this way where people who have no power, literally no means, no names, just regular ass people die for the interest of the rich and powerful who don't care, who see human life as disposable. When the people losing their lives and having their lives destroyed and fucked up aren't just literally completely innocent people who have nothing to do with any of this anyway. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a fucked up exercise, but in a time like this, I think we should do it. Like, we owe it to these people to think about what the fuck would I do if they started dropping bombs in my motherfucking neighborhood. I would not care what NATO representative had said what to who, what G9 summit had what, I wouldn't, right? Nothing would matter. What party was in charge, what fucking organization was it, right? None of that shit matters when your neighbor's house is on fucking fire and you're fucking hoping your shit isn't about to be next. Because guess what? It might be about to be next. So I think for most of us, we just, we deal with a very limited sphere of influence, but, we try to act reasonably and responsibly within that sphere of influence. Yeah, man, I'm just glad we don't have to disrespect these people by pretending that this is all part of some cosmic game. That's just too much. All right, gang. I fucking love you guys. Appreciate everybody for showing up. I think we fixed the gather link. It says link up with the gang. If you want to come hang out, that'd be great. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. There are links in the description. Hook us up with a like, a subscribe, share the video if you'd like to. Appreciate y'all for hanging in there with me. Love you guys so much. Otherwise,